Well, guys, they really did it. As they so often do, just when I thought I was out, Nintendo has pulled me back in. First off, a warning though. The rest of this video is essentially just me gushing over the latest Tears of the Kingdom trailer. Now, to be totally clear, the game is not out yet. Obviously, we're just reacting to a trailer here, but knowing the history of Nintendo and knowing the quality of Breath of the Wild, even though Breath of the Wild was not my favorite game ever made, I enjoyed it. I think it was a really good game, but there are still elements that I would have preferred it to be more of a traditional Zelda game with all of the open world stuff. And it seems like, fingers crossed, that could be what we are getting with Tears of the Kingdom. So as I said in the beginning, I think this trailer had absolutely everything a good video game trailer needs. And it all started with the music. At the very, very beginning, all you can hear is the wind. Just the slow rustling of the wind. And then this Lord of the Rings-esque, I've heard a lot of people say that. I totally felt the same way. Right as if I have just stepped into a fantasy world. And right away I was locked in. It feels like the humble beginnings of what is going to be an epic journey. Then you get the first shot of Link. And oh, the notes here, just so good. And then once the logo hits, chills, man, chills. Even listening to it again now. Then as the trailer proceeds, you get these various shots of the landscape, and the music here just has me ready to go out on an adventure. I mean, let's pack it up. Let's go. I'm ready to explore this world right now. But it doesn't stop there. Of course, you know it has to shift into something more sinister. We see the shot of Hyrule Castle rising with the malice all around it. A brief moment where it slows down a bit because we do have some dialogue here and there. And it just keeps building up to the Ganondorf reveal, which is another one of my favorite parts of the trailer. And I think growing up and having played so many of these games, I'd actually forgotten how long it had been since we saw Ganondorf. Somebody in a comment on another video that really the last time we have seen him in this form was Twilight Princess, which blew me away. This game released all the way back in 2006, and we are in 2023 now. So of course Ganondorf has been alluded to, and we've seen versions of him, Demise and then Ganon, but this Ganondorf here in his human form, it's been a while. In the trailer, it's not even 4 minutes, but at the end, I feel like I just watched an epic movie, and the music plays such a big role in that. There are also several other key story moments in addition to the Ganondorf reveal. Now, straight up, I don't claim to be an expert on all of the many branching narratives throughout the history of the Zelda franchise, all the timelines, all that. Definitely not an expert, but what I do love about this game is that it feels like the story is going to be playing a much more central role. And throughout the history of the series, we've seen them handle this in different ways. In some games, the story is more prominent. In other games, it kind of takes more of a back seat. I mean, you think about it took them forever just to add voice acting at all. Now, Breath of the Wild had it, but the majority of the storytelling there was actually told through these flashback cutscenes as Link regained his memory. And I could be wrong about this one because the trailer certainly wants to show the game in the best light, but it at least feels to me like this one is going to have a much bigger story with multiple races involved, and even the regular people of Hyrule seem to be getting in on the action. Also, Zelda, where is she getting sent to? Is it another realm, another dimension? I think there are some strong hints at time travel. I really do. Take the very final shot of the whole trailer. After the logo, there's one more little scene at the end, and we see Zelda here staring up into an empty sky. Notice, no sky islands here. And she's saying, Link, you have to find me. So is this far in the past? Could be far into the future. I mean, the clothing that she's wearing makes me think it's even more in the past. She definitely seems to be doing something with the Zonai and learning about them. So were the Zonai there all along and they just went to a different place, a different dimension, and that's where she's went to? Or has she traveled back in time? Right now, I really feel like it is time travel, which I don't really love in traditional media. I don't love it in books. I don't love it in movies, but something about time travel in Zelda, it just works. It always has worked for me all the way back from when I played Ocarina of Time. I just loved how they handled time travel there. And then I think we get our first shot at the actual tiers of the kingdom. We can see Zelda with one here. Ganondorf has one. I think all of the other champions have them as well. And speaking of tiers, what is the connection to the tier on Zelda's face? And also this person here, is this the goddess Hylia? That seems to be the leading theory right now. Is this Zelda in Hylian form? I mean, there are some definite similarities to Zelda, but also some key differences as well. Looks like she actually has 8 of these tiers, whereas Zelda only has 2. So is that eventually who Zelda becomes? I have so many questions. I even saw some people saying maybe it's Zelda's mother. I mean, who knows at this point, right? But my early theory right now, and I'm definitely still going to put out a separate story video as well, compiling everything we saw from this trailer, but I think we're going to have to go around regaining each of these tiers and then somehow send them back in time to Zelda, who is going to rebuild the Master Sword. I think for the majority of the game, the Master Sword is probably not going to be in our hands. Obviously, they have some story reasons for it, but also there are some definite gameplay reasons for it because they want us to use all these other weapons and creations that they have made for the game. And of course, once you get the Master Sword, they have to make it powerful enough to where you don't want to even use the other weapons anymore. And we have to talk about the gameplay too, because as good as the story elements are here, I have always personally believed that for a truly great video game trailer, and I mean a great one, you have to have gameplay. I get that publishers, they like to show off cutscenes and cinematics because they usually look better than the actual game. They look great on commercials and sizzle reels, and I guess they sell. I mean, I guess it works. They probably know better than me. But for me, myself, as a longtime gamer, show me the gameplay, man. And boy, did this trailer deliver on the gameplay, even after they just showed us a, 13-minute gameplay demo. And even though the trailer was just under 4 minutes long, we saw so many shots and they just happened so fast. They jumped from one epic gameplay scene to the next. You've got the hint at what many think could be the return of traditional Zelda dungeons. So many examples of all these new abilities that Link is going to have in the game, plus even a quick look at some gameplay mechanics that we haven't seen them show off before. And what about all these shots of companions fighting alongside Link? We have the new champions who have grown up a bit from the previous game, and then you even have the townsfolk who are helping out, joining Link in the battle to save Hyrule. And that one really speaks both to the story and the gameplay. I mean, we've seen some of this like companion style gameplay before, but something about the way it's pictured here, I think it's going to be way more prominent in this game. I mean, my early thought is 1 tier for each champion, 1 tier for each dungeon, and 1 companion for each of these, which begs the question, if I'm right about my theory of the tiers repairing the Master Sword, how do we get that tier from Ganon? If you missed it, and it's actually hard to see it in the trailer, but Nintendo released some official artwork, and it is incredibly clear right here that that jewel in the center of Ganon's forehead, or Ganondorf, excuse me, it is 100% one of the tiers that looks very similar to the one that Zelda has, except just a different color, of course. Oh, and the Triforce, right? How could we forget the Triforce? Where is that going to factor in? You know it has to come into play at some point. But overall, I mean, I'm all in at this point, guys. I am so ready for this game now. This is what they were missing. I was optimistic for it. Of course, I've known Nintendo's history, but I needed something to really make me say, wow, to stand up and to cheer, and to really just send that hype meter into overdrive. And this trailer certainly did that. A big part of that, as I've said how much I love gameplay, it was all these different gameplay sections. And I just had to make a completely separate video on that, breaking down 10 of my favorite gameplay reveals that we saw in this trailer. Make sure you check that video out next. I'll link it here on the right side of your screen. Also, big shout out to all of our channel members. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.